Hello everyone. So in our last video, we talked about how to get started with PHP and how to start your new project, how to install WAMP. We've also talked about how to install XAMPP. We've gotten a task on how to build a simple contact form and submit the content of the form to a file and then rename the file to the name of whoever is trying to submit the form. Okay, I'm still going to be doing I'm going to be showing you how to do that. But for now, we just want to start building a small project. Our project is going to be a simple authentication system, a platform that allows users to register, allows them to log in, allows them to reset password, and let's see what else. Then after they get to the dashboard. Although for now the dashboard is going to be very blank, but basically we want to see how this works. We want to see how we can receive information, how we can store the information, how we can go to that database and get that information. Now, since we've not talked about databases and we've not started using anything about database, for now we are going to be using a file system as our database, which means everything we get is going to be saved into a file, and then we are going to check that file to see if the person is existing in our database, and from there we can send them into the app and do other things from there. So PHP is going to be we're going to be using PHP to do this. It's going to be quite easy. I'm going to take it slowly. I'm going to record it in several videos. I'm going to make it very short, as short as possible. So for this video, for this one I'm recording right now, this is what we're going to be doing. I'm just trying to tell you what we'll be doing for the next set of videos. So we'll be doing the registration point, the login point, the password reset, and then the user gets to the dashboard. Okay, and then we'll push our code, push to GitHub, and probably host it. So it's going to be a long series. It's going to be step by step, and at some point after each video, it's very possible that after each video you get a new task. But for now, just know that it's going to be a long series. I'm going to take my time to explain each step. And while we do this, I will also be explaining some concepts in PHP, like variables. Okay, I can spell it. I'm going to be explaining arrays. I'm going to be explaining other things, global variables, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be talking about operations. I'm going to be talking about loops, and then probably we'll be talking about. Okay, so for now, these are the main concepts we'll be touching. Yeah, of course, we need to talk about conditionals. Yes, that's what I wanted to remember. So these are the concepts we'll be touching for the next set of videos. We'll be needing all these things to be able to build this system we'll be building. The name of our system is going to be, we need a name for it. So I like having names for any project I work on, even test projects, because somehow it helps me to think better. So we are going to be painting a picture of what our platform will be used for. It's always better for me anyway to have a scenario in mind for what I'm building. So I'm building towards achieving something. Right now, the only thing we're trying to achieve is to do a basic registration login system and password reset. But we need to be doing it for a system, for a bigger system, something we can integrate it into. Okay, so let's say our system is going to be for an hospital. Yeah, that's good. Since we are in the era of health issues, I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, we are going to be building something for hospitals, which means the registration would have two different levels, or let's say three different levels. There could be there could be the medical team or hospital staff. There could be the super admin, which is basically the hospital owner. I don't know if they call them CEO or MD or something, medical director, something like that. And then there will be the end for the patient or the users. Okay, so we are going to be doing basic ACL, which means access control level. So that's ACL. It means you create a system that allows different levels of access. So that when they get to the dashboard for our system, all we'll do is to say you are logged in as, and then the role they are logging in as. So we are building a login system for an hospital. There are three different access levels. There is a medical team, any staff at all. There is a super admin who is the hospital owner. And there is the patient. As time goes on, we might build more on this and make it bigger. But for now, we are focusing on just the authentication and the access control level. Right. So let's just simply set up our. Okay, let's form a name for our hospital. What should we call it? Let's call it SNH, which means start SNG hospital. Maybe we'll have an hospital one day. I don't know. Hospital to treat ignorance, probably. Right. So let's set up our project. I'm going to open my text editor. I'm using VS Code. I'm going to be using VS Code. This is not what I need. So I would create a new project inside my project folder. Right, if I can only find it, where is my folder? I can't open my Explorer. So let's do this. Open folder. I can't open my Explorer because what I'm using to record is blocking it. So I can't stop that for. So let's say SLH. This is my project. SLH. This is a new folder, and I'm putting it in my server's root folder. Don't forget this. I'm putting it in here. It has to be in here for it to do what I want it to do. So this is folder I'm working with, and I have no file inside right now. So let's set up our project. One of the first things I do is to create groups. I prefer to group components into different places. Although we are not coding using OOP. OOP stands for Object Oriented Programming. OEN, I don't know how to spell it, but Oriented Programming. Pardon the spelling if it's wrong. Programming. Okay, but we'll be using what is called procedural programming. I'm going to try as much as possible to keep it procedural. I've not done anything exclusively procedural in a long time, but I'm going to be trying to keep it purely procedural because OOP is a bit more advanced and might get hard for beginners to understand. Of course, we can still change the code, we can refactor the code to be OOP later, but for now, we're going to be making it just procedural. Right, so I prefer to have my projects grouped. What are the types of files I'm working with? As an example, I'll be working with images. Most likely, I will have some images for my application. I'll be working with JavaScript. I'll be working with HTML. I'll be working with CSS, and then I'll be working with PHP. So let's just create folders that are very necessary. Of course, I need image folder because I'll be referring to. Most people use IMG. I will just use images. That's a folder that can place all my images for this project inside. I'll create a folder for JavaScript. I'll be using JavaScript. Well, I mean, this makes no sense. I'm going to call it JS because JavaScript is way too long. I don't need to create for HTML. I don't need to. I'll create for CSS, obviously. Right, so this is my project folder. My CSS files are going to be here for styling my project. My images are going to be here. Let's rename this. Images seems longer too. So img, that's fine. And then there will be JavaScript here. And then the main folder, that's SNH folder, is going to have my HTML. If I use HTML at all, I mean separate file that is HTML file. If I have to, it will be in this folder. I doubt I'll have to. And my PHP files too will be in this root folder. So let's create our first file in here just to test that everything works. I already mentioned that using index.php automatically informs your server the file to open. So every time they hit my address, my web address, this is the first file they are going to get. Let's print out, let's make it an HTML file. and print out a PHP code just to be sure that it works. Um, oh yeah, well, that makes no sense. So I have to echo it out. PHP. Or, I mean, we're building something. So, welcome to SMH Hospital for the Ignorant. Right. So, we are building a platform that is a form of hospital to educate people and cure them of ignorance. That's what we are building. You get? Okay. So that's it. We've created our basic HTML page. We've added some PHP code inside. So let's test our project. I don't know if my server is running. Yes, my server is running. So I'm going to open my browser now. It's really large. I'm recording off, so I have to do this. And I'll go to my local host, and I'm not using any port. I'll go to SMH, and it says not far SMH. SMH. Okay, yeah. So our hospital project is properly set up, and we can see what we printed out. Let's change this to welcome to SMH Hospital for the I'll refresh this. This is good for SEO. SEO simply stands for search engine optimization. We would also be probably talking about it and how your platform optimization. Just pardon my spelling. It's hard to type and talk at the same time. So we are building an hospital system. The login part of the hospital system. We are focusing on having three different access levels. We need to have password reset and login. We need to have a dashboard that will basically just throw out a message that says you are logged in as, and then probably mention their name too um, and the office. Okay, so you are logged in as role, then their name and the office, and then we'll have a logout. Obviously, we need a logout. I'm sure you talked about that before me. So we have a logout. Right. Of course, if we want to expand it, then we make it possible for the medical director to add staff and add patients. And then we make it possible for the medical team or the staff to add patients, but they cannot add, of course, they can't add a super admin. So we can talk about that later. For now, we have our project setup, we have our outline for the things we'll be talking about, so variables, arrays, operations, loops, and conditionals. All right, so my next video is going to be focused at talking about some of these things as we start building our project.